it for prosperity.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so just some logistics. Are there some people by phone, or does everybody know how to, as far as a Zoom call, how to mute yourself, etc.? So if everybody could mute themselves, would be great to start with. All right, awesome. And then if anybody has any questions, they can go over, they can hit participants at the bottom. So if you hit the participants, you'll see who's participating on the right-hand side. And there's a spot at the very bottom right where you can raise your hand. Everybody see that? So that's the easy way to do that. And then if you go, there's another, you see chat. So chat could be utilized if you have some specific questions. And Angelica, would you be able to manage that part of it about questions and raising their hand?
Yeah, for sure. I can.
Okay, great.
You when they come up.
Okay, all right. So we've got, Angelica, you're going to host it. I'm going to do the cold calling Zoom call here. And I think everybody, let me see here. For those who don't know me, obviously my name is Mike Clark, and I've been in the business for over 30 years. And I started in real estate with RE/MAX 1987 during one of the very first booms. And I worked with buyers for the first 3 or 4 years I was in the business, strictly buyers. And then when I learned that I wanted to become a listing agent, I started door knocking and cold calling. And back then when we cold called, what we used to do is the office used to have a big phone book. And you'd literally go and photocopy a page and call. And eventually as the year went on, you saw missing pages and missing, streets. But that's what we used to do. We used to just call up and down the street, cold calling. And then from there, I went into door knocking. I door knocked for about 2 years till I created farming. And from there, I farmed. So today, I just wondered, maybe just a show of hands, how many people here are door knockers? How many people here are door knockers? All right, so we've got a few door knockers. How many cold callers would be here? And again, you have that in the participants where you, or in the chat where you can raise your hand. So, okay. So we do have some people here. What you could do is when you have a chance, you can go to the chat and you could let me know and let Angelica know what you would like to get out of this call. What specific questions that you have that you'd like to get out of the call. So you can go to that. We're working here. And I think we can just start our call. So I'm going to...
Would you like to introduce the panelists, Mike?
Oh, okay. Angelica, why don't you do that for me?
Okay, well, let's see who we have here. So we have Andrew. He's up in Barrie. He'll be also weighing in today. And is Scott going to be speaking as well?
How about you, Scott?
Just checking.
You want to participate?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And I know Ed was on our call yesterday. Is he going to be weighing in today at all? Or was he just there for moral support?
Is that on the call? Okay, great. Moral support. Super. Okay, so we've got our panelists. Anything else you'd like to put in, Angelica?
Nope, just take it away.
Okay, so with cold calling, so I did, I used to do a lot of print advertising and that wasn't working as well. So I started cold calling actually out of Bold. And I remember the whole idea was to have 100 contacts, I think by the end of the week. And I remember going to shopping malls with wearing boards over, like we were doing insane things to try to get those 100 contacts. Some of you probably remember that. And then I can't remember who it was. I think it was oh, I'm trying to think of Mark out there in Hamilton, who was, who introduced me to Mojo. And so Angela, are you there?
Yep.
Do you mind putting yourself on mute? And do you know how to put yourself on mute? So while Angela's figuring out how to put herself on mute, it's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. There's a little microphone there and you can mute yourself.
Sorry.
So, okay, all right. So, so with Mojo calling, so I had Mojo dialed for about a year or two. And then, of course, with the do not call list, I started to get fearful around that. And I know there's a few Mojo callers on here that have had a lot of success with that. We were able to scrub those lists, and so they weren't calling the do not call people. Right now we have 2 systems to cold call. And those 2 systems are, what are the 2? Okay, let's ask one of the panelists. Andrew, what are our 2 systems we can use right now to cold call?
So telelisting is, I guess, basically currently Toronto-based, and up here in Barrie, we use Mojo.
Yeah, so you can, anybody here can go and apply and register with telelisting. I registered about 2 days ago. And of course, from the Barrie or any area, you can go in and register into telelisting. So I went into telelisting with Edward, and it was a very, very easy system to work with. And I was able to produce some map searches. And I didn't particularly like the map search for me because I wanted to bore down, but you can also do a street search. So I chose to work with the street search. And what I did was produced, and I was very fearful around cold call. So I have lots of cold calling scripts, but I didn't think any of them were appropriate for this COVID-19 world we're in right now. So I created a script, and I went on yesterday and I called one street, and I made about 40 calls and had about 20 contacts and 1 lead. And as fearful as I was, it went way better than I thought, because I was fearful that maybe someone might take my head off or start calling, like, what am I doing in this period, you know, calling people up at their homes. But we did some script cold calling yesterday with Andrew and Edward, and I sent Angelic the script only like 5 minutes ago. So, but we're going to talk about that script. We're going to do a little role playing today, and take it from there. Is there any questions at all, Angelic? Any questions we have so far? Let's see.
No, nothing yet. We're also streaming it live to the Barrie private Facebook group. So
okay, hello Barrie Facebook group.
So hopefully
all right.
We'll have a few more bodies with questions there, or that may jump back on here to also give their questions in person.
Okay, super. All right.
Nothing yet.
Yes. So why don't we get into some cold calling? All right. How about Scott? How would you like to be? I'm going to cold call you, and you're going to be an owner on some street.
Okay.
You good with that, Scott?
An owner right now?
Yeah, you're living on ABC Street, right? And like most people today, sitting at home.
Sure.
You ready? Okay,
Yep.
You ready? Ring,
Yeah.
ring. Hey, hi, it's Mike Clark calling. Sorry, pardon me? Hi, it's Mike Clark calling. Thanks so much for taking my call. I'm just checking in with some of the neighbors right now that given all the challenges we're facing, if real estate is one of your concerns, or if you have any questions around that.
Oh, hey, Mike. Great to hear from you. Thanks for calling. No, I mean, I kind of hear the market's dropping, so that's what I think.
You know, it's interesting you asked that, Scott. There's some misconception about that. We sold 3 homes last week in the neighborhood, and all those homes went over asking and received very good prices.
Really? That's good to know.
So if you could receive a good price for your home, Scott, would you be interested in moving?
I don't know. We're just kind of overwhelmed with what's happening right now, Mike. I've been laid off for right now, so we're just kind of thinking about getting through day to day right now. You know how it is.
Scott, I'm really sorry to hear you got laid off. I know we're all going through tremendous stress and pressure right now. Now, do you think you'd be the kind of person that once this is all over and you're back working again like that, you would be interested in moving?
I think it would just depend what prices look like. We have thought about sort of trying to move up in our neighborhood, but it's really always just been too expensive. It's always made more sense for us just to stay where we are and try to renovate, do whatever we can,
Got it. Right. Scott, I got one final question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know anybody that might be in a situation where they want to buy or sell, they really need to, they're committed to it? Do you know anybody out that I might be able to help?
I have a handful of friends that are, financially really impacted right now. So who knows? I hope they wouldn't have to sell, but you just never know how this will all play out. So yeah, possibly.
Okay, terrific. Well, listen, Scott, keep me in mind. Thanks for taking my call, and take care of yourself and stay safe.
I will. Thanks for calling, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, next call. I'm going to call on Angelic. Are you ready, Angelic?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi. This is Mike Clark calling from Keller Williams. Thanks so much for taking my call. I'm just checking in with some of the neighbors right now that, given all the challenges we're facing, if real estate is one of your concerns, or if you have any questions around real estate.
Not really at the moment. We're just kind of hunkering down here and staying safe.
Okay, so if this hadn't come up, would you have given thoughts to moving at all?
Maybe, in a year or two, might look at doing that.
All right. Would you? I know a lot of your neighbors like to be kept up to date with what homes are selling for. So, as we move through this period, would you like to be kept up to date periodically on what homes are selling for in your neighborhood?
Sure, that sounds like a plan. Are there people selling right now?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we just sold 3 homes in your neighborhood, and my partner Candace is out working with it right now, and we have one purchaser purchased yesterday, and we're in the middle of an offer today.
Wow, I didn't think that was still going on.
Yeah, there's, it's interesting with the world we're in here, but we're of course an essential service, and there's still people out there that need to buy and sell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, would you be one of those people?
Like I said, probably maybe in another year or two. We're not planning on doing anything immediately.
Okay, great. What's the best email to reach you at?
Oh, you can get me at angelique.jones@kw.com.
Terrific. Well, great. I'll keep you up to date periodically. I really appreciate you taking my call. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. All right. How about Scott? You want to take another call?
No, I just had a quick question for you. You asked about an email there. I know that you've done lots of flyers in the past. Are you switching to try to do like an e-newsletter?
That would be one thing. What I like to do is basically I always want to get their contact information. So I use Top Producers. So as part of my system, I have about, 2,500 clients, and there's probably about 500 people that are thinking of either buying or selling. And I like to stay in touch with them. So as a matter of fact, I had a call today from someone that wants to sell. And my original contact with them was Mojo. And I actually brought up Top Producer while I was talking to them. I had actually archived them because I'd left, I don't know how many messages, and they never called back. And I asked her, so, why did you call me? She's Mike, well, you were the only one that kept bugging me and were persistent about following up with me. So that's why I called you. So that's why if I get someone that wants to sell in the next couple of years, I definitely want to get their contact information.
Great.
All right. Is there any questions so far, Angelic?
No, nothing at the moment. Did
Okay.
you want to run over the different types of like talk a little bit about telelisting and Mojo?
Yeah. So telelisting is, it's a great service. And what I liked about it was, I was able to pinpoint a street or a neighborhood. And, typically I brought up about, 500 numbers, maybe 500 homes. And then they have a do not call button. And you just hit the do not call button, and that list went, to about half. So here I have this list already scrubbed, right? And I can literally, what I did is I copied and pasted it, and I put it in an email, sent it to myself, and I have this list. And I prefer to work from paper, so I used this list, and I just went through, check mark, made a note of who went to voicemail, and went through and got about 20 people on the line, got one lead. Now, Edward, what he does is he sends it to his email, but he works with that off his iPhone so that he can make the calls right from his iPhone. He just has to touch their phone number on the email and he call them directly. So that's telelisting is very simple and very easy to work with, and you can really pinpoint it to where you want to call, especially if you want to call around. Like, let's say some of us here haven't sold a couple of homes in the last week or two. You can easily take our listings. You can take the company's listings. Gosh, you could take anybody's listing and just say, there's a couple of homes that just sold in the neighborhood. So it's very easy to refer to that.
Yeah, that's great. And what about Andrew? Maybe he can speak to Mojo Dialer a bit and how that works?
Yeah, sure. So Mojo is a web-based system that has both single line dialer and multi-line dialer. And one of the advantages of it is the ability to have more conversations in the amount of time that you set down for your lead gen. So, and that happens when you use the triple line dialer. So that, at this time I turned off Mojo because I'm trying to cut expenses. I wasn't doing any outbound lead gen, and actually working with Mike yesterday, he's got me feeling like I should get back on it. But I don't think that the triple line dialer might not be worth the money, only because so many people are home right now. So I'm looking at telelisting and can see the expense there. And some things that we might be able to do as a group is to look at maybe sharing some of these packages and spreading out the expense. And then somebody could use it in the morning, somebody else could use it in the afternoon, type of thing. But in any event, the single line, if you went to the single line dialer with the neighborhood subscription, you can map plot a specific neighborhood or your farm area or an area around a recently sold KW or any listing that you're targeting, and pull from there the complete list of street names and phone numbers. And then just like telelisting, you can literally sit there, you can either export them, and that's easily done, and click to call from your screen or your device, or you can print out and go old school and print out the onto a piece of paper and then just go down one at a time and physically do the dialing. That'll save you $300 a month or so. So cool. Anyway, it's a good service when needed, but I think now maybe anyway, I have to see how it works. But I think maybe dialing one at a time and just taking your time would be a better plan for now.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And that's I was, it was interesting because I was used to dialing. I think I was dialing 5 at people at one time, and I was quite okay with making. And I was dialing manually, so which I was okay with. And I just was so surprised how simple it was. What I'd like to do is I'm going to go over to the chat group and field a few questions.
Yep, there's a couple of questions in there.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
Mike,
we'll start.
Mike, can I just say one last thing about Mojo?
Yeah.
I hear what everyone's saying about budgets. What I liked about Mojo was, like, once you get comfortable with it, I would work at a workstation that has 2 screens. So once you've done cold calling enough, like, I could literally just watch the one screen with Mojo, and then on the other screen I could be doing like research on MLS or whatever. So like once you get efficient, Mojo is good for, you're not constantly dialing numbers. Like you can just have it go for you, and then on your other screen you can do some other work, like look for listings, look for buyers, whatever that may be. So that's why I like it too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If I could just put my 2 cents in on the Mojo side, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, is right to your point, that kind of runs in the back, all the dialing runs in the background, and then over on this screen I've got Street View, so when somebody picks up I can talk about their specific house, so nice bungalow, 2-car garage, whatever. And the other screen I can have MLS, and I can get really instantly into a conversation about what's sold that recently or what's for sale. They'll ask me what's the price of the house next door, right? That always happens, or not always, but often. So it's good to be able to be multitasking, and Mojo really helps that.
And what is the roughly, Andrew, what is the rough cost of to be a Zoom subscriber on a monthly basis?
Zoom is nothing for everyone.
Pardon me, Zoom, Mojo, pardon me.
So I have to look again. I think it's around $300, and I should know because it's coming out of my account until just recently. But
Ouch. Canadian.
Yeah.
So it's about $300 a month.
Yeah. But then you also have to do through the lead store. Well, I was using the lead store, so it is that's an additional probably 10 or 15 bucks a month to be able to pull from the street. So,
Adam, do you want to chime in there?
Well, if you just have can you guys hear me okay? My internet's a bit choppy.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So my account, I have the basic account, so it's $149.99 American, which comes out to about $205 every month. Your tele listing is $200 for the year, and you get that 15,000 numbers, right? Is that what you had when you bought yours, Mike?
I actually used someone else's account, so I didn't look into the dollars because I just wanted to check it out.
Anyway, so you get with the $200, your first subscription with telelisting, you get 15,000 numbers that you can export out of there. So you can either export it directly to Mojo, or you can export it to a spreadsheet and then put it in Mojo that way. So I do it by neighborhood. So like for Barrie, I'll just take all of Painswick, and then that way I know when I have a follow-up or whatever, or someone that won't give me an email, but they were interested in staying in touch, I'll just keep them in Mojo, so it doesn't fill my database with unusable stuff, you know what I mean, just to keep it clean. But those 15,000 numbers, they lasted me all of 2019, and I have tons of numbers still that need to get piled through. So it's pretty good value for the initial $200.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.
Yep.
Sorry, someone want to say
else
something?
Yeah, it's Safras, is that right? Horrible with pronouncing names, my apologies. That said that they believe they're paying $250 or so for a Mojo 3-line dialer. So I guess somewhere between that $200 and $300 range, depending on your level of service. Is that correct?
yeah, I just checked all my billings, and that's absolutely right. When you convert it, it should be around $245.70 or so, something like that.
Yeah, and so I think for people like Andrew and Scott who are sophisticated around Mojo, I think the dollars work out, I'm pretty sure, for the two of them. But for those like myself who are like cutting cost right now, I found telelisting extremely inexpensive. And what I loved is that Mojo doesn't scrub your numbers, right? Yeah. So with that fact, it actually scrubbed my numbers, so I didn't have any fear around calling a do not call, and found the system to be quite economical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to some of the questions, and we've got Safras wants to know the best strategies to convert and convert leads. So I think that would be, Angelic, that would be like a class on its own. So something that, yeah, if you want to make some notes, that would be part of a class. Scripts to use now, Leo's asked, so what has happened, the script I was using, and you probably saw when I first started, I was a little shaky on my script, and because I just started using it yesterday. Once I get rolling on it, and I do it enough, I can pretty much do it from memory. But I read my script, you know, as I'm talking about. I just read it right off the page. I've sent this script to Angelic, and Angelic, you can make this script available for everybody.
Yeah, we'll get it typed up, and we can make it available. So you can either, probably best to just email me if you would like the script, and we can get it out to you.
Yeah, and I know, yeah, that sounds great. And then Scott, Scott, have you had a chance yet to actually use your scripts and call yet?
I haven't really, no. No, unfortunately not yet. I made some calls yesterday to people that were already in my database, but not really any cold calls as of yet. I hope to start really soon.
Yeah. And Scott, you were, the reason that, why did you stick to your database and not make calls to the neighborhood?
I mean, if I'm being honest with everyone, the main challenge I've had right now has been that with the kids not being in school, and my wife, Emily, has been like seemingly busier than ever, I've kind of been really looking after the kids a lot during the day. So I found that whatever time I've had, I've really just been able to sort of keep up with the people that I already know, like people in my sphere database, Mets, like people that were leads I was working on. But I've kind of gotten to a parity point with that now. So I'm ready to start trying to get some new leads.
Yeah, as I said, when I first started, I had butterflies, and I was, you know, a little scared actually. And once I got rolling, it was like any other time I'd done it. The script that I had created, because I think, and you can work from my script and, you know, tailor to yourself. But I'm actually looking forward to making some calls into the neighborhood. And I think you can use this script as well with your own database. All right, thanks, Scott. Yeah, so in the current situation. So Jamie Lee, are you there?
I'm here. I was just asking for the general group of people because there are questions I've heard asked around what would be a great script right now. I know you guys did some role playing after I asked that question, so might be something
great.
to circle back on. But
okay, thanks, Jamie Lee. Then we get Mike are using Mojo. We talked telelisting through your phone. So I believe paying $250. I believe telelisting is free. Okay, great, super. So do you want to do a little bit more role playing?
Well, just before you jump into that, Anne had a question. I'm not sure if you addressed it. Are you using the data from telelisting and plugging it into Mojo to make calls, or just using telelisting?
Well, it's interesting because when I went into it a couple of days ago, there's an import button that you can take these calls right into Mojo. And so I know Andrew was interested in that. And Scott, had you heard that as well?
Sorry, say that again, Mike.
So you can take telelisting and import the do not call list right into Mojo.
Oh, yeah, I'm not like up until recently, very recently, we had a virtual assistant that did all this on the back end. So I'm not really 100% certain, but I know that once the numbers got to us in Mojo, that it had been scrubbed against the do not call list. You still would get people that say they're on the list, like that's inevitable, but for the most part, it was pretty clean.
Thanks, Scott.
And maybe Andrew could speak to the scrubbing in Mojo, because I know that he's done that as well for people who are using Mojo versus telelisting.
It's a for Mojo anyway. When you do the neighborhood search, it comes as, you can export it as a CSV file, and then you look at the brokerages do not call list, the one that we get every month. And I haven't done it myself, but Hayden's worked on it, and you can sort the numbers numerically and then line up the lists side by side and scrub the numbers from it. It's pretty tedious and does take quite a bit of time. So there's that. The only other thing that with the whole cold calling thing, for people who haven't done it, I was talking to Mike about his experience, and it sounded to me, and the reason why I'm getting a little bit enthusiastic about firing up my dialer again, is that he had the same sort of hang-ups and the same sort of not interested and things that happen previous to the pandemic, right? So he didn't get in trouble or didn't get anybody, why are you calling me at this time, or anything like that. So I think that's the worry everybody has about picking up the phone. So maybe we can regroup in another week and share sort of everyone's experience that did give it a try and see where we go. But it certainly, Mike's experience has been motivational to get going.
Yeah, Mike, you did speak to when you went through a similar sort of experience years back when the market had shifted in previous, I can't remember what the date was you were referring to. And maybe you could speak to some of the experiences you had in terms of this being similar and how you're reaching out.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was talking to John Ferber, called me yesterday, and he was quite shocked to hear that here I am cold calling neighborhoods. And I was just sharing experience. I said, well, John, yeah, you remember back in 1989 and 90 and 91 when only about 15% of homes were selling. And we were door knocking back then, and people back then had to sell, lost their jobs, and where we were listing their homes, they actually didn't have enough money to pay for their commissions. So they had to go to the bank and borrow money to pay for their commission. On top of that, they might be buying down an interest rate as well, so they could get their home sold and not lose their credit rating. So as this progresses, and we're not sure how this is going to progress, you know, I think we're seeing that real estate is slowing down and very slow in some areas. My belief is that there's always people out there that are going to need to sell, and moving forward, I think even more so. And for me, it was all headspace, right? It was like, all of a sudden, I think what has happened is most of us have been in a seller's market for over a decade. And so therefore we sort of have that, you know, so we're sellers before, we're actually going in their pocket to get their home sold. Now they're worried, well, gee, they could have got there would have been last month, they could have got an extra 100,000 for their home, but they've already got 5 or 6 or 700,000 worth of equity there that they can go out and purchase another home because, we just sold a home, in the Maine and Danforth area, and they took about 75,000 less than their neighbor did a month ago. And what we had, Candace and I had done in preparation, they were moving to Burlington. Well, guess what's happening in Burlington? So homes that were normally selling for 1.3 there are now selling for like 1.1, 1.125. And so there's lots of room to trade in real estate. It's just new training and how to speak to our clients to explain how it all works.
So there was also a comment in the chat that I guess Adam, maybe you could speak to uploading scrub leads from telelisting to Mojo as well.
Go ahead, Adam.
Well, like I think Scott was saying, or somebody was saying there, but you have to click that DNCL check mark in telelisting before importing those contacts into Mojo. So, I mean, you're going to get a significant decrease. Like, if, say you had 8,000 numbers there, you hit DNCL, you're going to get like 3,500 or whatever that looks like. Then you transfer to Mojo. So that's how that scrubs through that. The other list, I don't remember how I did the other list through, I think I had Mojo help me through it or something, to scrub KW's list for Barry there. But other than that, it's fairly straightforward, but you have to link when you initially sign up with telelisting. Our KW office and Barry is somehow connected. You have to choose the brokerage you're with, and we're registered, I guess. And from there, that connects to your active Mojo account. Now you have to keep Mojo active in order to keep all your data in there, because after a certain time of canceling or whatever, they wipe all of it. So they encourage you to keep paying.
Okay, any more questions at all?
Mike, do me on a cold call. Call me on my street.
Okay, all right. Ring, ring. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, it's Mike Clark from Keller Williams calling. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Oh, thanks for calling.
I'm just checking in with some of the neighbors right now, and given all the challenges we're facing, if real estate is one of your concerns, or if you have any questions around real estate.
Well, you know what, Mike? We actually are thinking of selling. We were going to be selling around this time, but with everything that's going on, we're not so sure.
Oh, what are some of your uncertainties?
Well, for us, we'd like to get the most we can for our home and move up north, and the rest is going to be saving. So we really need the most amount of money for our home. What should we do? Should we list now, or should we list in a few months?
So, Leo, would you be if I could show you a way to do all this and in a very safe manner, and you get everything you're looking for, would you be open to that?
I would, definitely.
Okay, so Leo, tell me, so whereabouts up north would you like to move to?
We'd like to go to Muskoka.
Yeah.
But our main concern is getting the most amount of money for our home now. I heard that prices are down, and they're going to keep going down over the next few months.
Well, you know, I can assure you, Leo, since I've been in the business for over 30 years, that's never changed. Everybody always wants to get the most amount of money for their house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Leo, that's do you have a mortgage on your home?
Yes.
And how much is your mortgage?
It's $500,000.
Okay, and what do you think your home's worth?
Maybe over 1 million, 1.1, 1.2.
Okay, so you've got about $500,000 worth of equity to work with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you done the numbers and what would you be looking at a purchase price up in Muskoka?
Well, we're looking around 800,000.
Okay, great. So would those numbers work? With that? Could you still get to Muskoka with those numbers?
We could if we sold for 1.2, which we're not so sure we can do right now.
All right. Okay. So why don't we discuss more what the value would look at your place? And I'm betting, Leo, that probably that home in Muskoka is probably selling for a little less as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, when it comes right down to it, it's just that the numbers have to work, right, Leo?
They do have to work. We're not in a rush to move. We don't need to move right now. We don't need to move in the summer. We can wait a year. We just want to make sure we're going to get the most money for our home.
So if you can get the most money and the numbers work, would you be willing to move?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call you back and have some more questions for you. I'll just get your email on that. We'll call back and we'll see whether now is the best time, or if waiting is better for you. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks, Leo.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else role playing questions? Leo, what did you think of that call, Leo?
I felt like I was not really given the answer I was looking for, but I like that you were not pushy on selling now. And at the end, you actually said, you know, if it works for you now, that's fine. But if it works for you later on, we'll wait.
Yeah, and you know why I didn't give you the answers, Leo?
Yeah.
I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
Where I'm coming from is, do you have the ability to move? To me, it sounded like you had the ability to move, and you need some hand holding, and we need to create a relationship to see if that'll work either now or down the road.
Mm.
Okay, great. Thanks, Leo. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Angelic?
Yeah, so maybe a couple of more role play sessions would be great. I think we're definitely learning a lot.
Okay, who wants
Me.
Who's
Who's-
me?
oh,
Oh,
Me.
Ed. Ed wants
Oh,
to.
Ed.
Yes.
All right, Fast Eddie. Okay. All right, ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, it's Mike Clark calling.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Thanks so much for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I'm just checking in with some of the neighbors right now that, given all the challenges we're facing, if real estate is one of your concerns, or you even might have a few questions around it.
Yeah, actually, the timing is really perfect, Mike. We are thinking about it, but what do you do in this market now? We're just, we're what can I say? We're scared to do anything right this moment.
Yeah, I totally get that. And that's why I'm reaching out to everybody, is that the question is, can you safely move your family in this market and have your lifestyle still work out?
Exactly.
Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, well, pretty much, yeah. I mean, a month ago or 2 months, whatever it was looking really good to sell, and we were so gung-ho and ready to go. And then all this happened.
Right. So what specific questions would you need answered, Leo, to clear that up?
Well, like I said, a couple months ago, the prices looked really attractive, and the numbers really made sense for my husband and I. And but now I'm not so sure.
Well, it's interesting. I've noticed, Leo, that we have sold 3 homes in your neighborhood, and they've all gone for really good prices.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
In the last little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So how long have you been in your home?
22 years.
22 years. And do you have a mortgage?
Very small.
Okay, great. And what do you think your home's worth?
One place across the road, very similar to mine, sold for 1.4.
Okay, great. And where would you like to move to, Leo? Or where would you like to move to?
Collingwood.
Okay, great. And what's the cost of a home going in Collingwood you'd like to purchase?
Really, really, really nice house. Anywhere from 7 to 8. Really nice.
Okay. All right, great. And what I have noticed is that some homes lately have been going for, I think what I'm seeing is that maybe prices have been affected somewhere between 5 and 10%.
Wow. Okay.
So if you still had enough equity, and I'm sure in Collingwood it's probably very similar, might be more actually, because there's a lot of vacation properties there. So if you were able to, if the numbers all worked and we could get you to Collingwood, would you be interested in moving?
Definitely, but yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get your email, get some of your information. I'm going to call you back,
Okay.
and we're going to go through it step by step to see what I can help you make this move.
Yeah, I don't see why not. No obligation or anything, right?
Absolutely no obligation.
Okay.
One question before you leave, though. I'm just wondering if you might know of anybody else that might be planning a move, and they might have some of the same questions that you do that I could help them with.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, great. Terrific. I really appreciate that. So I'll look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, it'd be really good.
Great, thank you. Okay, Edward, you can go ahead and mute yourself. You got a great smile there, buddy. Angelic, anything else?
No questions that are in the chat, but I'm wondering if there are some people who may have some questions. You could always unmute yourself.
These
call it
calls. Sorry, go ahead.
They could just call it out if they want to unmute.
Yeah, if you have a question, just shout it out.
Or even general comments as
Yeah.
well. I really like how you emphasize certain words, like help you, right? And we were discussing this yesterday where you were talking about challenge versus, what was the word you had switched?
What was the word you use in your script? Do you remember, Edward?
Crisis, was it crisis and you changed it to
Crisis,
challenge?
yes. Edward used crisis and I didn't like the word crisis. We, as salespeople, we don't like the word crisis, do we?
No,
We like the word challenge, don't we?
definitely.
Yeah, because we don't need to alarm people, because they are alarmed. We don't need to
Already
alarm them more.
Exactly.
All right. Any more questions? Anybody else want to throw just anything out there?
I just had a general comment, Mike. I think about scripts in general. I think sometimes with scripts, we overthink them and try to do these complicated scripts. But I've always found that the best ones for me are the direct, kind of plain spoken, and people have to get that sense that, you know, you're sort of coming from a place of contribution and that you care about them, especially in times like right now. So like the really aggressive salesy scripts have never appealed or been interesting to me. But whereas, you know, people, depending on who you're talking to, you know, you have to mirror. If you're talking to someone older, you talk slower, you slow your voice down, you slow your intonation down, and just let them know that, you know, you're not calling necessarily directly about a sale, but like make them think for a bit that you kind of care, listen to them. I think right now cold calls necessarily will take longer than they did before, just because you're going to need to spend a bit more time on the telephone, but that's okay. So come from that approach right now.
Yeah, you've got a good point, Scott. I think each one of us individually has to find that within themselves. And actually it took me 2-3 hours of trying to figure out, who am I in this? Like who, you know, how am I going to come across, who do I want to be for these people, right? And my approach is probably a little less caring than yours. Not that I don't care, but really what I want to do is I want to get the seriousness of the moment, right? What everybody's dealing with. And what I really want to know is really with all the issues they're facing, would real estate be one of them?
Mike,
So I think, go ahead.
Do you have a time of day that you use, or do you bounce it around, try different times?
I like from 10 to 12, I like that time. I'm freshest in the morning. So now the good news is people are home right now. So, you know, I would either do 10 to 12 or I might do 2 to 4.
Thanks.
What about Scott? Scott, where's Scott? Scott, what times do you like to call?
Yeah, generally for me, I mean, the way my routine was before would be I would take our kids to school. So I would drop them off at 8:45. And then I like to go to the gym right after, because I feel like getting exercise sets my whole day on a better path. So I would usually go from the gym till 9 to 10. I would get to the office around 10:15 or 10:30, and then I would generally try to hammer out 2 hours of cold calls to start my day. So typically between 12:30 or 1, I got the first prospecting block done. Now, other people will say they like to get on like at 8:30 because you catch people before they go to work. But, you know, for me, I like to take the kids, get my exercise, and then get on the phone. I feel like that's better. And I feel like nowadays more people work from home. So I don't necessarily know that there's a better time. Some people might like to try to do it like more evening dinner time to catch people after work, but I tend to be like you. You know, my energy's highest, I think, in the first half of the day. So I want to get it done then.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you brought, Scott. It's really individual. The reason I like is I'm better earlier in the day and, you know, as opposed to later in the day. So Andrew, I'll call on you. Andrew, when do you like to make your calls?
Yeah, so my routine was I would try and get set up to make the calls starting at 9 a.m. And I had a target of making 100 contacts or 100 conversations a week. So, sorry, I did it for 125 a week. So it was 25 a day. And I would call until I hit that number. Sometimes that would take me an hour. Sometimes it would take me an hour and a half. If it took me an hour and I felt in a good mood and I was feeling like I was on the roll or whatever, I would do the whole 2 hours because I had blocked off 2 hours in my schedule for lead gen. But sometimes I'm just fighting it or it's fighting me. And when I get my 25, I quit because I know I'm going to have my 125 at the end of the week. So that's how I did it.
Yep, and Adam also posted that he does his from 9:30 to 12:30. So looking at like a 3-hour window. So it really is dependent on what's happening and with people with homeschooling right now and other commitments that they're dealing with. Even doing an hour is better than nothing at all.
And
Yeah, I like
for you.
Yeah, I like Andrew's approach too, as soon as you're in your role. But I would say for most people, earlier part of the day is probably preferred. And the other thing I like what Andrew said is he has targets, and I think it's great that whether your target's 2 hours or it's 25 contacts is a great motivational tool. But the key is it's got to be in your schedule. It's got, the whole key. If it not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. Because I've always had, sometimes I get busy with real estate chatter earlier in the day and I go, that's okay. You know what? At 4 o'clock, I'm going to go on the phone and make some calls. And then 4 o'clock rolls around. Guess what? I'm not in the mood now. Really not in the mood to make calls. So yeah, early in the day would be what I would suggest. Any other questions, Angelica, people have out there?
I don't see any other questions that are coming up in the chat. So unless anybody has any questions and they want to raise their hand or just simply blurt it out. Adam, go ahead.
Well, I just want to share, if anybody hasn't heard, there's a guy, his name's Ricky Caruth. He's a big cold caller. That's how I first initially got inspired to start cold calling. I think for me, door knocking, seeing someone else's emotion and getting their response when you're at the door, it throws me off. So I'm a lot better on the phone. But I think it's super important, like Andrew was saying, to have that data on the area that you're calling. Have it ready and available, because people will ask you right then and there. And you look super prepared when you're like, oh yeah, your neighbor's house, yeah, he sold for yada, yada, yada. No problem. And it took you no time to be able to provide that data to them, or, get them excited for what's happening on their street. But Ricky's approach is very relationship based. So it's solely, it's kind of like with our motto at Keller Williams, like fill your database, work your database, touch your database. They constantly say it, right? So for me, getting into real estate a year and a bit ago, I had nobody. Like, I moved back from out west. I didn't know anybody. I'm now up to like 340 people in my sphere through cold calling. And it's just solely, you're calling to introduce yourself, see if there's anything that you can do for them today. And most of the time they're going to say, no, not really. And you just go, great. Like, is there an agent in the area that you would work with if you were to do something in the area? And a lot of them, they had agents, they bought their home 3 years ago and they've never heard from the real estate agent ever again. So if you can come in there, they want a market report, they're interested in staying in touch, they provide you an email, they've already told you they don't have an agent. If you're continuously just flipping that database and staying in touch with these people, especially during times like this, I'm getting great responses and I'm learning a lot more about these people in a shorter amount of time, because they're more willing to talk to you. They're not living their life in a normal way. They're not in a rush to get out the door or whatever that looks like. They're willing to talk to you. So, I mean, there's been a lot of that to take that time, and really lead gen is different right now. And I couldn't agree more. And I'm consciously, that's becoming more aware to me that like whatever lead gen you're doing, as long as you're making those calls and making connections and adding notes with those people, you're lead genning. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's my
That's excellent.
to-do.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to add is I like to refer to it as warm calling. Cold calling just for me sounds so
Not warm and fuzzy.
iceberg, yeah, where iceberg, cold, ooh, stay away from me. But warm calling, and to me seems I'm coming and bringing you something. I'm offering you value in a warm, fuzzy way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just a small thing, but I think it makes a lot of difference. But that's kind of that's where my head is. I like to think of it as I'm a warm, pleasant person to talk to on the phone with people, and I have something to offer, versus stone cold. Ugh, get away from me.
A very good point. That should be a new bold law.
Thanks, maybe.
Ed, I think I said this yesterday, but what Mike's done for us in this really simple opening line is talk about it. We're all facing this challenge, and do you have any questions? That's, I think, what was missing for me was, how do I talk to someone I've never spoken to before? Yep. So, and that's really, you're offering your help, which yep. is coming from contribution. So that's why I thought it was really great that we got this set up, and thank Mike for spending the time with his expertise to share that with us.
Yes, for sure.
One more thing. I think there was an objection that we mentioned earlier, something about why are you calling me at this time? I think that's an objection that could be easily handled. I think we could probably have a think about that maybe right now, and work that out, because that might come up, and it's a very easy one to handle if we're prepared for it. So can we have a little brainstorm on that? So somebody ring me, why are you calling me at this time? Don't you know there's a big pandemic and people are dying and this and that, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, how would you handle that, Mike?
Yeah, so if somebody like that, at first I'm thinking like, these people are in trouble. Like, these guys are freaking out, right? So I'm going, mine would just be, geez, I'm so sorry. Everybody's dealing with so many different things. And if this call, aggravated or disrupted you, my apologies, right? You take care of yourself and all the best. And just hang up.
Yeah.
Or if they wanted to, vent for a bit, to me, it wouldn't faze me. Because I've had that knocking on doors. I've had that. We've all had that.
Yep.
People are going to vent. You just be as polite as possible, apologize, move on.
One of the things I learned from my years of retail experience was if the customer wants to vent, just let them talk. Quite often they're just getting it out of their system, and then you can have a rational conversation.
Yeah, great point.
Very good.
Yes. Any final questions? We have a couple of minutes. All right, great.
Well, if there aren't any,
sorry, go ahead, Angela.
Other questions at the moment, I'm just going to quickly mention a few things that we have coming up. So next week, of course, we have a bunch of other exciting sessions that will be taking place. On Wednesday, we have Sandy McKay doing a wealth building seminar, I believe. The time, I think, is 1 to 2:30 on the Wednesday. And as well, Keller Williams Canada will be also doing a whole bunch of mastermind sessions involving Canadian agents. So that's going to be exciting. So make sure you keep watching your emails for those. And starting Monday to Friday, I'm going to be doing an early morning check-in from 8:30 to 9 for anybody who wants to put their pants on first thing in the morning and actually get up, get motivated, get started. It's a great start to the day. We'll be doing some affirmations. And if somebody wants to do scripts and role play, by all means, come on. We can brainstorm ideas there. and kind of continue this conversation throughout the week. So make sure you check that out as well. And on next Friday, I'll be doing a fun games hour, which would normally be up in Barrie. We would do a news and brews at a local pub, which in fact won't be happening. So instead, we're going to do games from 3 to 4. So feel free to hop on that session as well. And also I'll mention that Kate Peterson, who did the Bold up in Barrie and was amazing. We really enjoyed the session. She is going to be coming on Tuesday from 1 to 1:30, just a short little session to talk about the new Bold that's happening in May, the $99 Bold that will be done online. It's really, really cool. And Jamie Lee, was there anything else you wanted to add about upcoming sessions?
No, nothing right now. Just to keep checking back on the website and Facebook.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you all back again next week. And I hope everybody has an amazing Easter.
Great. Happy Easter, everybody. And maybe
Bye.
from this, we can dream up some other classes. Everybody take care. Good Easter weekend.
Yes, thanks to our panel.
It again.
Happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Oh, happy Easter, guys.
Let's do some live cold calls next time.
Live cold calls.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Angelic. Thanks for hosting this. Thanks, panel. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Angelique. Have a good day.